It's Allie. I've got a book for the adults. God is in the hard stuff. We all have hard times, and sometimes we forget that the Lord is there while we're going through these hard times. But this book helps us remember and get our focus off the hard times back onto the Lord. You promised me, Lord, that if I followed you, you would walk with me always. But I have noticed that during the most trying periods of life, there has only been one set of footprints in the sand. Why, when I needed you most, have you not been there for me? The Lord replied, the years when you have seen only set of footprints in the sand, my child, I was carrying you. From Footprints in the Sand, author anonymous. Okay, smaller print, time for my glasses. Chapter 1, Why God, Why? When things are going well in your life, everything seems good with the world. The sun shines brighter, the flowers are more fragrant, people smile as they pass you by. There is a vacant spot just for you directly in front of Starbucks. Of course, things aren't really that way, but that's how they seem to you because you're feeling good about your situation. The days that you feel good, it seems like everything's going your way. When your circumstances turn south, though there seems to be an odd confluence with the rest of the cosmos, everything seems to sour simultaneously. It's like domino effect. One bad thing, everything's going south. You get soaking wet feet after being caught in a freak rainstorm. You get a flat tire and don't have a jack in the trunk. Everyone who crosses your path is in a foul mood. After waiting 15 minutes in the drive-thru at Starbucks, you're informed they are out of coffee. It's bad enough that, insert your tragedy here, happened to you. But to make things worse, it became a triggering mechanism for future misfortune. There are trivial illustrations of how your perspective is corrupted, but when you are forced to endure a tragic circumstance or a particularly hard situation, but more than your attitude is affected by adversity, your spiritual equilibrium can also be thrown off kilter. Often, the frustration that accompanies your hardship leads to a spiritual misconception that God has abandoned you. While this isn't true, it is easy to see how you can reach this flawed conclusion. First, you start with sound premises, such as God is the Almighty Creator and ruler of the universe. All things are under His sovereign control. Nothing happens in this world without His knowledge or permission. God does love you and wants only what is best for you. So far, you're on the right track. Your thinking is logical. But here is the point where your logic slips a cog. You mistakenly conclude, since tragedy has entered your life, God must have turned his back on you. If he really loved you, he wouldn't let this happen to you. This line of thinking is flawed. First, God never promises anyone a life of free from pain. So don't make the mistake of thinking that God has abandoned you when hardships enter your life. Secondly, the presence of hardships in your life does not imply the absence of God in your life. To the contrary, you can be sure that God is there and wants to reveal himself to you when you are experiencing difficulties. Rather than approaching your hard times with this attitude that God has vanished, use the circumstances to find God. He is there and he isn't hiding. He wants you to feel his presence. He wants you to sense his love for you. He desires for you to understand his purposes for allowing these difficulties in your life. God is with you. Yes, he is all powerful and capable of changing the hard circumstances for you. But because he loves you and wants what is best for you, he will not eliminate those problems if he knows they serve a beneficial purpose in your life. He never promised to protect you from all hurt, but has promised to be by your side during every bit of it. If you mistakenly assume that God is not present, you'll be spiritually blind to his presence. But if you take God at his word, and expect to find Him in the darkest hours, you'll be surprised that you see Him all around you. Suddenly, the severity of your problems will shrink in comparison to the magnitude of God's presence in your life. Now, there's a few points in the end of the chapter we're going to go over. In the hard stuff, God doesn't move the difficulty and pain, but He will be there with you through it all. It is almost impossible to see God if your spiritual eyes are closed. We must take the blinders off and look for God and not focus so much on the situation. God's continual presence with you is one of His presence to you. He's always there, and it's a gift. It's an awesome gift. How do you expect to recognize God during times of crisis if you haven't been taking notice of Him when things are going well? I'm guilty. God is with you when the going gets tough, but He's a perfect gentleman. He won't carry you unless you ask Him to. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will make more videos if at least one person is enjoying it. So I like to share, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.